Hello everyone, and welcome back to Crypto Bytes, where we discuss all things crypto, airdrops, DeFi, and more. My name is Brian, and today we're going to do an update video on the Sonic ecosystem and their upcoming airdrop, which is coming in June of 2025. So we have just about a month to go before Season 1's over, and if you're not currently positioned for it, I think now's the time to do so. Has been fairly heavily farmed, but there's some really good opportunities that you can earn upfront yield right now that we're about to jump into, so that I can show you how I've basically changed my strategy over the last few months since my last video on Sonic. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so first off, I just wanted to kind of show you what's happening with Sonic. So we're on DeFi Lama here, which is a great data aggregation source. And you can see that since Sonic went live, which was like right at the end of 2024, early 2025, the TVL on the chain has basically been straight up. So from 0 to just over 1 billion TVL at the moment. They are running their 200 million S token airdrop season 1 that has been running since mainnet started, and that first snapshot, the ending of season 1, is coming in June. So basically been running for about 6 months by the time it's over, but we're only 1 month away. So like I said, if you have not been positioned for it, I think this is something not to sleep on. With only 1 billion per TVL, and they're basically giving away at the current price of Sonic about $100 million. That means you're basically going to be earning 10 cents for every dollar that you have on the Sonic chain. And of course, I'm going to show you right now how to make that be more like 50 cents for every dollar. So let me show you price. So interesting enough, I feel like not only with the airdrop coming up, but just with the way that price action has been, that it's a good time for you to get involved. As you can see, that pretty much since late January, early February of this year, the price has been kind of consolidated between this like 60 to the low 40 cent range. Currently it's at the middle of the range, so at 50 cents approximately. We did have a pump up to 60 cents not that long ago. Obviously we got up to almost $1. Well, we did hit $1 back before the market overall started dumping in early March. So I do think that this is going to get back to at least $1 at some point this year. And we basically at 50 cents, that means downside is fairly limited. Maybe 20% more. If assuming that we're still in a bull market, sorry, and only dips will occur, but we're ultimately heading higher, then you're basically taking a 20% possible risk with a 100% reward scenario here, just based off of the price action in the last 6 months. So I think now is a good time just for that. But you don't even need to be holding the Sonic token, the S token, in order to do what I'm about to show you with the different strategies that I'm using. But if you are, then and the token does go up, then obviously you're going to get even that appreciation on top of the yield and on top of the airdrop. So something to think about for sure. Not financial advice, by the way, just what I am currently in belief of. So let's jump into the strategies. So the first one here, and really all my strategies that I've been doing a bunch of different things on Sonic since they launched, but I've kind of consolidated everything down into just 3 different protocols because they offer the best yield and the best way for me to be able to maximize the amount of airdrop points that I'm earning. So the first one here, relatively new, is LND.fi, LendFi. They've only been around for a couple months. They are running a campaign right now that is going until I think the middle of May. So it's just the start of May right now. So if you haven't been using this, I'd say jump on it. You can see basically what they're doing is, you have it's a lending and borrowing protocol. And so you can see kind of standard, 1.6% APY for supplying USDC, 2% for Sonic, 1% for ETH, etc. And then the borrow rates are relatively low as well. So this is kind of standard on what I've been seeing across Sonic. But what is interesting is that they then have these additional much higher APRs, and this is based off of basically what they assume that the value of their token is going to be once they do a TG. So you're basically earning pre-tokens by supplying and borrowing in their protocol. And yeah, if you click on this, you can see more details on like how they come to their valuation and everything. As far as I'm concerned, do I think that their token's going to be worth this much? Probably not, but if it's 50% on USDC, that's still an amazing APY that I'm going to be getting just by lending this. And then on top of that, I'm earning Sonic points for the Sonic airdrop as well at the same time. So that's 12x Sonic points by depositing this. So as I mentioned before, if you, for every $1 that you're depositing on the chain based off of the $100 million that Sonic is giving away at the current price, you're boosting that your percentage of that 10 out of every dollar by doing things where you can maximize your points as opposed to just holding just pure USDC on the Sonic chain. So pretty much what I'm doing here is I deposit USDCE and Sonic, and then I borrow USDCE and Sonic, and the ratio in which I'm borrowing is based off of if I think the price of Sonic is going to go up or not. So, as the price of Sonic has been going up and down over the last few weeks, when we hit a peak, I'm basically withdrawing the Sonic. So I'll start off as kind of even ratio of what I lend and borrow, and then once the price goes up, I'll withdraw some or all of what I had deposited, because then I'm assuming that the price is going to go down some, and so since I'm borrowing against Sonic, that means the amount that I owe is going down as well because the price of Sonic is going down. Vice versa, if the price of Sonic I believe is going to go up, then I repay what I borrowed in Sonic and I'm only borrowing USDCE, or making it so that the ratio of what I have deposited is greater than what I have borrowed. And so in that manner, I'm able to, in addition to getting these awesome yields, I'm also actively being able to make a little bit extra profit along the way as well. So it takes a little bit of planning and skill to do that, but it's been something that I've been doing for quite a while now with these lending and borrowing protocols. Yeah, it's something to think about, especially given how nice kind of the range has been for Sonic for quite some time now. So yeah, that's LendFi, and pretty much you can see here how so all the rewards are being given through Merkle, which is a long-standing platform, like a rewards platform that a lot of applications use to give out rewards like this. So you can see that the rewards are based off of a pre-TG price of 5 cents approximately, and they're giving out, basically $10,000 worth of their pre-token in these 4 different pools until, let's say here, I believe it's until May 15th. So I'm not 100%, but I believe that's the case. So that's why you'll see these different APYs here, is because depending on how much TVL is deposited into these different assets, the ratio between the rewards and the TVL is what this APR is. Now it looks like, I didn't see this before, but it looks like they're also going to open up a lending and borrowing protocol on Hyper EVM 2, which is another layer 1 that I'm heavily farming right now, which I've done videos on in the past. So I'm definitely going to jump on that as soon as they launch there. So that's cool to see. But anyways, that is lend.fi. The next one that I'm using heavily is Silo. Silo's much more established than lend.fi. They've been around for years, and they have a lot more pools that you can basically enter into. And from depositing Bitcoin derivatives to Sonic against other Sonic. So the way that Silo works is basically that you're in an isolated mode where you pick basically one of these markets. So if I wanted to deposit Sonic and I can borrow this B Sonic against that and loop it then I would enter into this market, or I can do the same with Sol BTC and XSol BTC, etc. So that's how Silo works. Now, there's a number of decent pools in here, but for me, since I want to be bullish on the price of S, like I mentioned earlier in this video. But two, I also want to maximize the amount of points that I'm earning, and I also want to maximize any potential downside in the short term. So the pool that I'm involved in, which I believe I talked about in a previous video here on this channel, is this S versus wrapped Ingalls S, I believe is what the WANS stands for. So pretty much what this does is I'm depositing this W wrapped ANS, and that is from Ingalls protocol, Ingalls.fi. And so basically it's just a derivative of Sonic, a liquid staking token. So I deposit S here, and I'm earning 11.71% APY on the ANS that I'm getting in exchange for the S. And then I go and wrap it, and then I can go and deposit it into this Silo pool here. And so since I'm getting 11.7 APY on the wrapped ANS, but then I can borrow S against it for 7.2. So there's basically a 4.5 APR differential between those two. And this has been rising only lately. Typically it's more in the 5 to 6 range, which means you're more at like a 5 or 6% APY differential. But even at 5%, like we said, this pool has up to a 90% LTV ratio, which means you can basically get 10x leverage on your deposits here. So pretty much what I'm doing is I'm max levered out in this. So I'm getting 10x times the 5% differential, which is basically a 50% APR on my wrapped Sonic, which is basically just Sonic in itself. And so similarly to what I'm doing on Lend.fi, when the price of Sonic goes down, I'm adding more to my position here. When it goes up, I'm taking profits and kind of rinse and repeating as I go along. So in that matter, I'm always taking some gains off the table while I'm still building my position here. So this is by far the best APR on Silo if you want to have like a pure Sonic position. If you wanted to do something a little bit more risky, and so yeah, with this, keep in mind, since I'm doing the 10x leverage, I'm also getting 8x Sonic points, 1x Ingalls points times 10 on my deposits here. So I'm basically getting a 3-in-1 airdrop because I'm also getting Silo points, and then I'm also leveraging that by 10x plus the upfront yield. So plus if there's appreciation on the Sonic price. So I really like this opportunity. I think it's probably the best across all ecosystems in crypto, to be honest with you, and I am heavily involved in this one. So definitely something for you to check out if you have not already done so, and hopefully I don't ruin the opportunity for myself by sharing this here. So that is my favorite by far pool on Sonic and all of crypto for that matter. In my last video, I did talk about my usage of Euler Finance as well. In the same way as Silo, they have kind of these isolated pools that you can deposit into. Some of them have good APYs. These are in the 30s to 40s when you max leverage them out. But the problem is that the ones that have the best APYs are using these Pendle PT assets. And if you're not aware of how Pendle works, is that when you have a PT position, you're basically foregoing, getting a fixed upfront yield for your assets, but you're foregoing any points that those assets would have received. And so Pendle is basically getting those points, and then you're able to, if you wanted pure point exposure, then that's why they have a YT asset. Maybe we'll get into that into another video, but there's plenty of information about how Pendle works out there. We don't need to get into that now. But yeah, my point stands is that while these APYs are pretty awesome, I want the points. So I am not using Euler at this point in time because I'm able to basically get 50% APYs on Silo and get the points on top of that, which obviously is much better. So, but I just wanted to share, since I do still think very highly of Euler, but I'm just not using them for the Sonic airdrop at this point in time. Last but definitely not least is Shadow. So Shadow is, I believe at this point, maybe the second largest DEX behind Beats on Sonic. And so yeah, this is basically a bunch of LPs. And one cool thing to note is that most recently, I believe Shadow and Beats, since they're the top two DEXs on Sonic, their native tokens now also count for earning airdrop points. They didn't before. I wasn't too heavily exposed to Shadow's actual token previously, but I'll show you how I am now, and it's cool that you can get points by using them. So pretty much on Shadow, I am using this as a way to kind of just make my spare funds that I'm moving in and out of Silo and Lend.fi generate yield and points for me, rather than just like holding stable coins on Sonic. So basically what I'm doing is I'm primarily using this Sonic USDC pool, and you earn 10x activity points for the airdrop by depositing in here. No leverage, but the APYs can be quite amazing. And so let me just show you. Basically what I'll do is I'll keep these ranges very tight. I'll basically determine what I think the weekly range is for the price of Sonic, and then I deposit USDCE only in the pool. So I'll basically, like, let's say if I wanted to enter right now, I'll have the max amount be, just as close as possible to the current price, maybe sometimes slightly over, and then in that case I'll have to deposit some Sonic in here with the USDC, because they don't let you just do single-sided if you're in the range. But most of the times I'll just go slightly out of the range, and then that way I can just deposit stables in here, and then I'll probably have like maybe 10% to the downside on the rest of the range. And so what I'm doing here is I'm setting myself up with the stables that I already was going to be holding. Instead of putting that into Lend.fi or something and earning a few percentage an upfront yield, I can earn many hundreds of percent. I don't know why this is. I need to put something here. Let's see. Not sure why that's showing 0, but yeah, I'd be earning many hundreds of percent in this pool right now. So the way I'm seeing it is, since I'm starting off with stable coins, and ultimately what I want to achieve is to get more Sonic by putting in this pool, I'm getting a very high yield. And then if the price goes down, then I'm also acquiring Sonic at a cheaper and cheaper rate as the price goes down, while I'm earning that yield, which kind of offsets the drop in value that I'll be getting because I'm buying the Sonic that is going down in price. Ultimately, I expect the price to go up, but I think you get what I mean. Now, if the price, let's say if I entered the pool here and the price ends up going up, then I'll just close my position and enter in again, by setting a similar max for the pool. So when I'm first getting into something like this, it's something that you'll need to monitor if you want to follow a similar strategy, because the price won't always go down as soon as you get in there. But once it is, then you just need to monitor it maybe like a couple times a day if you have morning and evening, and just rebalance as needed. And then once the price has gone down enough, then that's when I'm taking what I've earned here, and then I'm putting that into Silo and LendFi to do what I already explained earlier in the video. So when you're earning yields on Shadow, you're earning them in X Shadow, which is their native token. And their native token is Shadow, but you're getting rewards as X Shadow. And so you can't immediately transfer that into S or stables. So you have a couple of choices. You can either go and put that into vesting, which will take, up to 6 months if you want 100% of that back, or you can have a minimum of 15, which means you'll get 50% of it back. I choose to instead use their staking functionality. So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll mint this asset called X33. And so when you're doing that, you're basically getting whatever the value of the X shadow, it's about 66% of that value. So you are losing a little bit of the value that you just earned, but I'm getting immediately basically 66% of the yield that I just farmed. And then if I wanted to, I can redeem that back to get the full value of my X shadow again at a later date. But what I'm doing instead is I'm taking that X33 and I am going into the pool here, which you can see, not this one, where is it? The USDC to X33, so this one right here. So massive APYs on this as well, and like I said, you can now earn points on this, which you couldn't before because X33 is the native shadow token. It's just a derivative. So you're earning AX activity points for the Sonic airdrop. You're earning a massive APY, and that's how I'm basically using my yields that I'm generating from the different positions that I'm using on Shadow. So to summarize, basically I'm using the lending and borrowing protocols, Lend.fi and Silo. I'm max leveraging them as much as possible. When the price of Sonic goes up, I'm taking profits. When it goes down, I'm buying more and I'm withdrawing from the pools. And then in the meantime, any extra funds that I have, I'm putting them in the Shadow to both earn some really nice upfront liquidity, yield, as well as basically buy. And then, once the price of Sonic goes down enough, then I'll go and buy more. So I've been really trying to acquire as much as I could sub 50 cents. So I think if you get the opportunity to do that, definitely take advantage of that if you are so inclined. But as the price has been rising up steadily over the last, pretty much since the start of April, you can see it's been going up nicely. Anywhere around 50 cents, 52 cents or less, I think is still a good deal at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. And I feel like I'm relatively well positioned right now. I'm, according to this, ranked 1400s for the Sonic airdrop, and they have hundreds of thousands of people that are vying for this. So hopefully this one really cooks. I'm really hoping for that. So hopefully that this video helped you. And yeah, until next time, happy farming.